And if we really want to have an honest conversation about West Ham, we have to ask, should Salah start? I think that is a valid question at this point. Should Mohamed Salah automatically just keep starting games when he's gone through 4 now where he's ghosted, and a few others where I don't think he's played particularly well but has had a penalty or a goal in them, and that always glosses over. So there are questions that I'd like some answers to. And on the Salah one, at what point do we start to say Arne is just letting him coast? You know, it's difficult when you're talking about somebody who's done what he's done this season. But we are also talking about in the here and now, and he hasn't been there for the last 4 weeks. He just hasn't. Yeah, let's start off with the Salah question, I guess, for the first poll tonight. Right, so should Salah start against West Ham? Yes or no? We'll let people vote on that. What I would say is, there's no excuses of us now. There's no fatigue excuse. We're playing 1 game a week. 1 game a week, pretty much, from now till the end of the season. So we cannot be hearing fatigue. That's horseshit. Plenty of time for recovery. Plenty of time to plan. 1 game a week. I don't want to be hearing about players being tired or fatigued. They shouldn't be. Professional athletes should not be tired playing 1 game a week, or overly tired. James said, we lose to West Ham and then I'll worry. Look, I don't think we have any need to worry this season. I don't. But I have concerns going into next season because, you know, what is Arne Slot's style? That's what's confusing me here. If his style is to be keep possession and be patient and not concede and create 1 or 2 things, that's far removed from the style of football that we've become accustomed to and the way that we've played in recent years. I don't know. I just feel we've gotten away with it at times this season. And whilst I don't agree with people saying that this has been the poorest Premier League season, yada, 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 we do have to sit here and say that even our own standards this season, we've won games where maybe we shouldn't have and not been as convincing. Like, when's the last performance that you guys remember sitting back and going, fuck, wow? Or the last time we blew a team away in the first half and sat back and just thought, that was impressive. I haven't felt that in a while. Leverkusen game, said Joshua. Spurs game, said Nathan. City game, said Stevie Kirkman. Bournemouth, said Paul. I'm not convinced with this style, but have the players burnt out? As in, early season, they look good. It's a fair question, but the whole, again, I'm going to come back to the whole point of the style of the way Arne Slot plays was supposed to stop the burnout and the injuries and the fatigue. Now, it's definitely kept tabs on the injuries. Definitely, I would say we've improved in that regard. But do we look like we're fresh at this point of the season or anywhere close to fresh? I don't think we do. Stevie Boy said, big second season for Slot and the owners. Back the manager or we are done. It is going to be a very big second season and one that is going to come a big expectation, Stevie Boy, because right now we're going to win the league, right? So that's the metric now. That's the measuring stick for Arne Slot. His time as Liverpool coach. Let's see what happens next season. Because right now, I don't feel we're going into next season to win the league title. Now, it's impossible to really quantify that without seeing the summer window. But we look a long way away from being fluid or even having an identity in the way that we've played recently. Lee Thompson, how are you, Lee? Said, I hate to say it, but Mo's second half of the season performances, I'm not sure I'd be renewing. I think we let him go and rebuild. I'm really, really struggling, Lee, to figure this one out because whilst what you've said has absolute credibility, I'm trying to remember, is this unusual for Mo? And I don't think it is. You know, again, I don't have the numbers to hand to back this up, but I feel like we have this conversation every year around this time of the year with Mo, and that he doesn't follow through the whole season. And again, if you look at it, I guess, from a numerical perspective, you can look at it and go, well, the numbers were good, but you want the numbers to be good at the business end of the season, where there's stuff to be won. And this season, and I don't have the numbers for last season to hand, but I feel like this isn't a uniquely this season problem for Mo. Just my take on it. How are you, bro? Lovely to see you back in again, and thank you. Said, Jota's injuries have caught up. Darwin is Darwin. Chiesa and Elliott, offensive players, not trusted. Now throw in the main man has fallen off a cliff in performance, not just goals and assists, and you have a big problem. Again, I think that's a fair statement. Certainly does look like when Salah isn't in the goal scoring form, we do struggle for anybody else to step forward. And looking at it from a striking perspective, Barry, you're right. Not enough from Jota this season. Not enough from Diaz this season, although I believe this is his first season with 10 Premier League goals. And Gakpo, well, that was worrying because Cody was awful. And we know he's better than that. So, yeah, Jota just doesn't look at the races. And I'm moving closer and closer to the point of wanting Diogo to be sold. Because I do think that refreshing attack is needed. And to do that, Jota and Darwin, I think, both need to be replaced. Mary said, we have the same conversation nearly every year. Colin said, it's not just Mo, the entire team seems to have gone on vacation. 100%. Sorry, I certainly don't mean this to sound like I'm just thinking about Mo. The only reason I'm asking about Mo starting the next game is, well, because if it was any other player, I don't think they do start. So, football is a what have you done for me lately business, and you can't survive off reputation alone. And yes, Mo had a great start to the season, but, Canade today, wow, that was worrying. And it just added to my belief that we really need a centre-back now. Because it didn't even feel like Arne was willing to take off Canade and put on Kwanzaa at all. So again, we're looking at more players that he doesn't seemingly trust. And I think I've come to the conclusion that he doesn't trust Kwanzaa for two reasons. One, half-time today, he didn't hook off Canade and bring him on. And two, he hasn't utilised them at right back in the last two games. Now, I'm not saying doing Jones was the wrong option. I think Jones has done admirably. But you can see again, the first choice there in his mind wasn't to go straight to Kwanzaa. And that, again, tells me that maybe the manager just doesn't really believe in him. Paul said, Slot's getting like Klopp at the end of last season, not dropping players for poor performances. And that worries me, Paul, because I don't know what type of message that sets. If you're in a dressing room and you want to talk about standards and you want to hold standards, well, you have to set the tone there. And by allowing a player like a Virgil or Mohamed Salah to not reach those standards and you don't drop them, well, that's because of two reasons. One, maybe bias and favouritism towards the player. And two, and most importantly, this is the reason, a lack of real options. So if he was to drop Canade or Virgil, who's the real option there? Or who's, better phrased actually, who's the one putting pressure on them? Nobody. And same with Salah. And I've said this about Salah's situation in particular for years. There is nobody breathing down his neck. Nobody putting him under pressure. And he doesn't even have to worry about Chiesa because he knows the manager doesn't trust them. So let's look at the Salah poll.